Hey, what's up, guys? This is Professor Tim Crater and my friend Professor Joshua T. This is going to be a little bit of a long video, and we're going to go into a little bit of detail about the system that I used and use in MMA. Works for no-gi or gi or MMA, but a lot of my jiu-jitsu kind of came up under me getting hit while I was doing jiu-jitsu.
You did a good job of it.
Yeah, I was great at getting hit. It's part of the reason I look like this, and it's part of the reason my intellect has dropped back into the normal level, because before this, high level genius.
Oh, yeah.
So, but in any case, let's go over some of these positions, because I feel like most guys in MMA, we see a guy get taken down and he goes to close guard, and even at the UFC level, man, guys are just like staying there for 2, 3, 4 minutes and lose the round. But they lose the round based off of having no game plan other than crossing their ankles and hoping for the best. You know,
let the referee stand this up.
ridiculous. You gotta have a good understanding of jiu-jitsu and some good balance and a good sensitivity with your feet and with your arms. But I much prefer butterfly guard, especially against good wrestlers and stuff, because if you can't elevate their hips up and they can keep those hips low to the ground and heavy, it's hard to move them around. You know, scissor sweep and sit-up sweep and pendulum sweep, those are hard to get on guys with good bases. But butterfly guard, I mean,
Especially wrestlers, I said they got lead in their ass. I mean, they
It's
can
true.
drop heavy and
so let's go over like a basic system that you can use that's gonna cover pretty simple stuff from butterfly guard. But, and like I said, this works gi, no gi, MMA, it doesn't matter. But it definitely takes into account, what if the other guy can punch me in my face? And I think that's important for me, because I've lost a lot of childhood memories in MMA fights. I forgot about Vacation Bible School. I forgot about that one summer camp at the Tickfall River. Singing Waters Ranch. That's all I remember of that. Any case, let's go. So butterfly guard, I get taken down. What? No. Okay, so I get taken down. I'm not going to be in this position. My opponent's going to be on top of me, tight, and they try to get their elbows to my hips and crush my hips down. This is the position they try to get to. So to assume you're going to have an underhook is a false assumption. You're not always going to get this underhook. A guy's going to take you down, and you're going to be in kind of this position. So I like to hold the head, and then I kind of use my feet to rock them forward and get an overhook. And I shove that overhook in, and I kind of scoop my butt in, and I try to get ear to ear with Josh. Now Josh is being really heavy in his hips, which is what guys do. But that heaviness helps me come up. So when Josh is heavy into his hips, all I'm gonna do is lift his knees up just a little bit, like 2 inches off the mat, and kick forward. This helps me, and look how I'm keeping his head down and I'm on top of him. He's making a good post. I see people a lot of times when they come up into this position, they start like trying to, lightly pull the hand and like get the elbow and stuff. This is ineffective. I need to tomahawk chop that elbow. Like if his arm doesn't come to me, I want his arm to pop, to break, to hyperextend. I am popping that arm in. So I take my hand and I tuck that arm to my body. Now I'm just gonna collapse, elbow, shoulder, ear, and my right foot is pushing on the mat, and my left foot is kicking Josh over. And I come up on side control, but I have an overhook. So if you go to the mount, he can roll me over, so don't get greedy. Come to side control, drop your hip to hip, shoelaces on the mat. My other foot is up, and look, see how I have this overhook? I keep it, my other hand comes across the neck, and I grab my forearm, and I start to put pressure. And if it's MMA, I can hold here, and I can elbow, and I can punch. And I'm not allowing Josh to come up on that knee and use this underhook. I'm staying heavy. As he gets frustrated and starts to try to wiggle that arm out, I'll come right to the bicep. And then for me, when guys get out of here, I use wrist locks, or key locks, or whatever to get back in this underhook position. And then I can start fighting from the top again. I can go to the dead man, and I can beat him up. So I use that sweep a ton. I use that sweep gi, no gi, MMA. You have to really get good at that. Just sweep. Sweep is crucial for a good MMA jiu-jitsu game. But sometimes you're not going to be able to come up. You're going to be stuck on your back. And so I have a great option that I learned from Nogueira when I was back in Brazilian top team, like in 2000 or something. He used to do this to me from closed guard, and I do it from butterfly guard, and it works really well. It's really simple, but it works really well when somebody is staying heavy on top of you and you can't break. So Josh is on top of me again. I get the head, and I bring him forward, and I get that overhook. But Josh I can't pick up, I can't sit up, so I'm gonna take my left hand, and I'm gonna kick a little, and make it as an underhook. And then I pinch my hands tight right behind his head. And I'm holding Josh really tight to my body, so he can't get out. I make another little kick, and I put my left foot on the mat. All I'm gonna do from here is hip up and roll to my right shoulder, using my left shoulder to pressure Josh's armpit. And look how my leg comes high up here. And then I make that grip behind his neck. And I come up to this position, capturing his hips. Right? And have a good grip right here on his neck. Of course, I can make the second hook and take the back position. But different than other jiu-jitsu guys, I love to hit people. So rather than take his back and beat him up, although that's a great option, sometimes as I come to the top, the guy's tight here, and I can't make my hook. And I want to win the round and win the fight. And I actually want to punch him in the face in front of his family and stuff. So what I'm going to do instead is I put my hands on the mat, and my right foot, that's a hook, I'm gonna insert it behind his other knee. And I'm gonna block his knee here with my foot. And then all I'm gonna do is use my hips to push on his ribs. And Josh comes all the way over. And I'm high here, his temple and his ears exposed. As a ground and pounder in jiu-jitsu, don't aim for their forehead and don't aim for their face. Aim for their jawline and aim for their ear and temple. Because those are the things that are gonna knock off their equilibrium. Josh can only go one of two ways. Josh can go straight to his back, or Josh can go the other way. And as he does, I let him, and I do it again, and I punch again. And I continue a vicious beating, because that kind of control and punishment really wears out a person's gas tank and mentally and emotionally crushes them and gives me a lot of advantages in the fight because of the way it's forcing them to feel about how the fight's going. So utilize good ground control and heavy punches. Don't punch a million times. Get to the right position. Find a great target, jawline, ear hole, temple, and then hammer those targets, because if you get enough of them, they're gonna lose cognition and they're gonna lose an overall sense of where the fight's at, how the fight's going, and it's gonna make your job a lot easier. It's much easier to submit a beaten up opponent than it is an opponent who hasn't taken any licks yet. Yeah, well, just like it's easier to knock out a guy who's been dropped 3 or 4 times than it is a guy who's fresh.
Was it rule to take a black belt, punch him in the face a couple times?
Exactly. You'll be able to attack more people if you really put some hammers on them from good positions, because it breaks up their equilibrium, it mentally kind of crushes them, and it gives you better options. So that's one option. Now, another dangerous thing when I'm in butterfly guard is sometimes the guy tries to stand up. That happens. So we need to understand that and then limit that stand-ups exposure to us getting hit. Because if the person stands up and gets their hips in and postures all the way up, they can kill me. We have a rule. The closer my head is to Josh's, the less the punches are gonna hurt. The further away my head is, more childhood memories you will lose. So, when I'm here in that butterfly guard and I'm flat on my back and my opponent starts to get frustrated and stand up, the last thing I want to do is let go of his head. Because if as he stands up, you're in a lot of trouble now. So your very last action is letting go of the head. Keep that head close to your head. So what I like to do is, as he starts to stand up, I get one hand on the leg. Once I get that one hand on the leg, before I let go of his head, I start to elevate my feet. That way Josh's hands start to go to the mat. If his legs stay down towards the mat like this, I just grab the ankles or legs and push my shins out. I like to come up with both ankles, because when I go after one ankle, it's easier for them to roll and get on their knees. I come up with both ankles. And so today in jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of people leg locking, and they're doing a lot of this ashi and stuff. The problem with this in MMA is Josh can punch me in my face. Okay, a lot of problem with leg locks is guys can punch you in your face. So the position I prefer when coming to leg locks is what we call the Reaper, right? We've always called it the Reaper. I get 2 locks, I sit, and my foot comes from outside to inside, and I catch both legs. I got him in a foot lock, but now Josh can't punch me. I've contorted his knee to the place where punching me is hard, right? And so I can finish the foot lock, I can go for the heel hook, or if Josh rolls, I can go to the belly down, foot lock, and a variety of other foot lock attacking positions from it. But the goal is when I kick my leg over behind his knee, I'm out of the range of the punches. Okay?
Also, I find that position sets you up, the heel hook up and stuff like that.
Yeah, it sets my heel hook up better. And if the guy's a great wrestler, the Reaper, if he wants to run away from the position, sets up good sweeps. He's going to turn his back to you, maybe to take his back. If he turns his back to you and then turns back into you, you may be able to catch a guillotine. I've caught that on some people. So having a good butterfly guard system that I can reverse the position, I have some attacks, I can get on top, is super important. You don't need a million elements, but you need 3, 4, or 5 that you're regularly drilling hard with the other person punching at your face a little bit, so that you understand the urgency of the positions and where you're in the most danger. Okay, I hope you liked it. We're gonna continue making a bunch of cool videos. That's just some tips on butterfly guard for MMA, no-gi, or jiu-jitsu, whatever the case may be.
Best butterfly guard in the business, guaranteed.
I like jiu-jitsu with punches. I think it's real. I think it's more realistic for self-defense. It's more realistic for real life. Some people say it's kind of crazy, but it's only crazy if you train crazy. Every once in a while, as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, there's nothing wrong with putting on some MMA gloves on and wrestling with MMA gloves on and feeling like, what does my jiu-jitsu feel like if the other guy can punch me in the face? Does my jiu-jitsu survive? Is my guard applicable? Is what I'm doing here make sense? Like, if it's for real. If you're a competitor and, that's not the main focus of your training, that's completely understandable. And the other 5 or 6 days a week, you could be training Billy Bob blowjob guard, whatever it is you do, whatever. But there should be a time in your martial arts experience where you're training your art under duress of a person or an attacker who can hit you or who is hitting you. Because otherwise, is it really still a martial art, or are you just playing tournaments? We should never lose focus of the fact that
we're here to defend us.
Yeah, the whole tournament thing has killed a lot of martial arts.
Oh, karate.
I grew up, judo, it killed martial arts. And so, we don't want to that to happen in jiu-jitsu, And I don't think it is right now. I love jiu-jitsu. I like the IBJJF. I like all forms of jiu-jitsu, but don't let the focus on competition kill what the original intention of the art was for. And the original intention of the art was to give you a system to destroy people's bodies without taking a ton of damage. And that's kind of what this system does.
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining me today. You look at me